All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome. Another excited daily vlog is Daily Vlog 2025, number 275. So, today, um, for anyone who doesn't know, I am a massive Monster Hunter fan. The first Monster Hunter, technically, the first Monster Hunter I ever played, I think, was Monster Hunter Portable Third, which I think was Freedom Third. I don't know. Anyway, he was on the PSP. I had a PSP. And I saw it and I thought the weapons and stuff looked cool in it. So I'm like, oh, I'll go ahead and try this. And I hated it because I didn't understand the game. And so I took the dual blades, the dual wielding one, and I went in and I was expecting, like, I'd go in and I'd hit the attack button, they'd be like, wah, 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 wah. And what they actually did was, wah, wah, wah. And it just felt so insanely slow, and you'd get locked into these animations, and then you just get demolished by whatever you were attacking. And I'm not talking like big dragon-like things. I'm talking about like deer would kick the shit out of you. So yeah, I didn't like it. Fast forward a few years, I have a 3DS now, and I saw Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate was on sale for like $5 or $10. So I'm like, oh, cool. I've seen other people play this. It looks kind of interesting. And I started playing it. Instead of doing the dual blades, I went with the Insect Glaive, and I fell in love. Insect Glaive is still my favorite weapon in the game. I don't always use it like in Generations Ultimate, because I never got very far in 4 Ultimate, but when Generations came out, I put like 120 hours into that game. Like, I loved it. But because they had the aerial style for that, I was a dual blade user in that. But then World came out, and I went back to my Insect Glaive, and then I played Rise, and I played a bunch of different things. I think I went back to dual blades for Rise just because they kind of reintroduced the aerial dual blades thing. And now for World, or not World, Wilds, I went back to Insect Glaive, and I love Insect Glaive. It's super, super fun. If anyone is unaware of what I mean by the Insect Glaive, in the Monster Hunter series, you have a number of weapons you can choose from. I think there's 14 now that you can choose from. And each one not only plays differently, but uses completely different mechanics, does completely different things, damages enemies in different ways. It's really, really fun. There's a lot of replay value to it. The Insect Glaive is a spear that you also have a little insect on your arm. And by little, I mean like the size of your forearm, called a kinesect. And the way the Insect Glaive works is you shoot off the kinesect from your arm, and it collects one of 3 different colors of something. I can't remember what they call it. And then they bring it back to you, and each color does something different. The white makes you faster, yellow gives you a defense buff, and then red gives you an attack buff. And you have all 3 of them at the same time. Then you can do cool shit like the other thing that the Insect Glaive does is you can use it as like a pole vault thing. It'll launch you into the air. Then you can do all these aerial attacks, and it's super, super fun. So what I've been doing for like the past 3 or 4 hours is they introduced a new monster. And this happens, like, this is how the Monster Hunter series has worked for a long time. Is they will slowly release updates that introduce new monsters. And this one I was really, really excited about because it's a crossover with Final Fantasy XIV, another game that I really, really love. So this crossover event, you get to fight a monster called Omega, which in Final Fantasy XIV, I believe in the Stormblood expansion, which was the second expansion, Omega plays a massive, massive part in both the story itself, and then there's an entire raid series that involves you just fighting Omega, and it's really, really fun. I've done that raid series, I don't know, a couple dozen times. It's a blast to do every single time. So I hadn't played Wilds in months, despite the fact that they'd been releasing more monsters. I'm just like, it's not. I saw Omega, and there's a bunch of really cool rewards you can get. Like the armor set you get from it is basically the Shadowbringers Dark Knight set, which is one of the more badass armor sets you can get in the game. I have it in Final Fantasy XIV, and it's great. I love it. So I was pumped. I'm like, this is super, super cool. I definitely want to do this. So yeah, I spent the last, like I said, something like 2 to 3 hours, I think. I don't know. Time is hard, folks, especially when you can't feel it passing. This is the most frustrating bullshit fight I have ever seen. And the reason is, again, I fought Omega when it was current content. So when it was at its hardest point, I fought Omega. I have done it since then many, many other times. I think I've soloed some of the Omega fights, because now you're a high enough level that you can solo like old raid content, no problem. I know these fights really well. And again, I've been playing MMOs since, oh God. My first MMO was EverQuest in the late 90s. So yeah, I've been playing MMOs since, I guess, over 25 years. Let's leave it at that. Over 25 years. And so I understand, and I've done endgame stuff, not for 25 years, for over a decade. I've been doing endgame stuff. Like I did it in World of Warcraft. I did endgame raiding in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I do it in Final Fantasy XIV all the time. Love it. So here's the thing. With Monster Hunter, the way that it works, and it was the reason that I didn't like it when I first tried it, is Monster Hunter is about learning patterns and understanding timing. So all the weapons are slow. Not only that, but you yourself are very slow. Like, even if you compare movement speed in Monster Hunter, any Monster Hunter, to like just walking around in Final Fantasy XIV, you are significantly faster just doing your little jog run in Final Fantasy XIV than you are in Monster Hunter. Especially if you have one of the bigger weapons, like if you're using the Great Sword or the Gun Lance or anything like that. Like when the weapon is out, you crawl around. You have almost no mobility. And so a lot of Monster Hunter is learning the patterns of the bosses and avoiding damage as much as you can, and then getting the damage in when you can. But all of that relies on you learning these boss patterns. The Omega fights, as far as I can tell, is just bullshit. And I've seen people beat it, and so I know it is beatable. But there are so many things, because again, as an Insect Glaive user, the Insect Glaive is not a massively heavy weapon. It's technically one of the more maneuverable weapons, because once you launch yourself up in the air, one of the abilities you have is you can actually do this like air dash thing, where your Insect Glaive like shoots out a puff of air and it launches you. So you're technically more maneuverable than most. But with this fight, Omega works very similarly to a Final Fantasy XIV boss fight. And the way that those work is, for the most part, the boss will start doing an attack, and you'll see like a casting bar or something above the health bar of the boss. And then an area will glow red. And that means don't be in that area. And you have a limited amount of time to not be in that area. And as you get into more complex boss fights, sometimes the area will move, or you'll have to watch what the boss is doing because the area will be kind of attached to them. So wherever they're looking, and if you look and see what they're doing, you'll see that, they're going to turn 90 degrees to the left. And so you have to know that, no, I don't want to be there. But that's really as complicated as it gets for Final Fantasy XIV, is just don't stand in the bad place. They basically did the same thing for this fight, where you are constantly seeing all of these areas where it says don't stand in this place. But the big difference is you're slow as fuck, and the warnings come within seconds of the attack happening. Which again, the way that Monster Hunter works is you normally don't get warnings, like you don't get glowing areas on the ground. What happens is the monster will start acting in a certain way. Like if they're going to do a tail swipe, you will watch them start to kind of like wind up their tail. Like they'll lift up the tail a little bit and they'll swing it back. You're like, oh, I need to get out of the way. That's not how Omega works. Omega is basically a giant egg with legs. And so it has all of these attacks that it doesn't really telegraph. Like by the time you see the attack, it's too late to get out of the way. You just have to hope that you're already in a place where it's not going to hurt you. But the problem is, as the fight goes on, they are turning and running around and moving so quickly, it's literally impossible to be able to know exactly where any of these attacks are going to be until they're happening. And if you're on the edge of them, you can totally get out. Like you do have like a dodge roll kind of thing. But if you're not on the edge, like if you're dead center in one of these areas, you're just screwed. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't run because you can't run with your weapon out. And if you try to put away your weapon, your dude literally, like I have an insect glaive. It's a spear. That's all I have. It doesn't make running any more difficult. Like the greatsword. The greatsword is a massive sword. Like the sword itself is the size of your body. It makes sense that it makes it harder to move. The insect glaive, especially the one that I'm using, is just a little piece of metal. I use staves that are bigger than my insect glaive. It doesn't stop you from moving at all. But if I want to run, I can't run with the weapon out because it's just not how the game works. And so I'll click the button to put the weapon away, and instead of like running, and the way they put their weapon away is they just go boom. That's all they do. They don't put it into a sheath or something. They just go boop, and it sticks to their back because physics. What does my character do when I do that? They will be running full, or they will be, sashaying full tilt because they can't run with a stick. And then I'll click because the same button that I use to put the weapon away is the button that you hold to run. But you can only run when it's not in there. So they'll be going do 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 do, and then I'll go, okay, put it away because I need to run. I'm not going to be fast enough to get out of this. And so what they'll do is go do 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 do. Oop! I'm going to stop here. I take it out. I put it there, and then I stop doing it. And then whoo! I feel better now. Now I can run. So they literally stop all momentum to put it away, and then you can run. And it fucks me every single time. And so yeah, I have been screaming at my my PS5 for hours now, and it's just so frustrating because again, I normally wouldn't care. I just go, okay, I'll just skip this monster. It's dumb. I don't like the mechanics of it, so I don't have to do it. But that's not, like, I want the rewards from it. Like I play Monster Hunter to look badass. That's it. Like right now, the armor that I use is this like giant. Like I look like a fat Kamen Rider, to be perfectly honest. But it's this like insect carapace thing that I have painted metallic green. I have this really cool spear that basically looks like metal was like wrapped around itself and turned into this double-sided spear. Like it's super cool, but I just keep getting my ass handed to me over and over again. And the worst part about it is in order to beat this fight, not only do you have to avoid all the bad shit, but you have to do shit tons of damage really, really fast. And every time I do any sort of damage, I get locked into these attack things that, like, I can push the attack button and start doing this multi-hit attack. And right after I hit the attack button, the ground in front of me turns red, and there's nothing I can do. I can't cancel out of it. I can't do anything. I'm just there to get my ass handed to me. So it has frustrated me beyond belief, especially since, this is the thing that's pissed me off the most. They have these, like, computer hunters, because Monster Hunter is supposed to be a group thing, but I don't have friends. Or I do have friends, just none of them play Monster Hunter with me. And so what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to hunt Omega with 4 friends that are all really, really good at what they do. I don't have friends, but they do have computer friends for you, so you can get computer hunters to help you. And they just did this update, apparently, theoretically, they claim that they just did this update where it makes the computer-based hunters really, really good at this fight. It's a fucking lie. My ally, like, I've watched other people do this. Like, I've watched tons of videos on this to figure out what the fuck I'm doing wrong. And everybody else's hunters work really, really well, to the point where the hunters themselves can solo the boss without you. Which pisses me off, because my hunters sit on their ass and do nothing. Or they'll just run around on their little chicken horses. They'll just run around on their chicken horses going, what are we supposed to do? And then Omega will just decide, oh, well, these people aren't attacking me, so I am going to do every single attack that I have just on the only real person here. And I get fucked every single time, and it's pissing me off. And that's what I've been doing all day today. And I've tried so many, I've tried using the computer ones, doesn't work. I tried going with real people. Going with real people is worse. Because the real people can't figure out how to beat this fucking thing either. And I can't do enough damage to do anything to it. Like, one of the mechanics of Monster Hunter Wilds is, if you do enough damage to a single body part on one of these monsters, you can create what's called a wound. And then every single weapon has their own kind of finisher move they can do on those wounds that make them basically explode. You do lots of damage, and for the Insect Glaive, it refreshes all of my buffs. So it's really, really useful. I have a specific item that the entire purpose of this item is to make it easier for me to wound these things. I cannot get a wound to show up on this. And one of the mechanics of the fight is Omega will go crazy and just start constantly attacking, where there's no time for anyone to do any damage. And he won't stop until you create 3 wounds on his legs and blow all 3 of them up. Once you do that 3 times, he goes back to his normal mode. You can't win without doing that, and for whatever reason, I can't get the wounds to appear. I will hit the exact same spot 100 times. Nothing will happen. So, yes, if you hadn't guessed, I'm very, very upset. Because again, I like Monster Hunter Wilds. To be perfectly honest, I don't think it's the best Monster Hunter they've ever made. It's cool. I like the combat in it. But the story is bad. Like, it had promise, and it could have been interesting, but it's written poorly. And they added some weird stuff in there. The monsters themselves are interesting and fun, but when it first launched, the endgame stuff just wasn't there. Like, there was like 3 monsters you could fight over and over and over again, and that was it. Now, like 6 months later, or 7 or 8 months later, there's a lot more stuff to do, and I still love it. I still think Generations Ultimate or Monster Hunter World are still kind of tied for my favorites, because both of them are just insanely fun. Yeah, I just I want to like this fight, because there's a lot of interesting aspects. Like, another mechanic for this is again, because you can't actually dodge all the attacks, it's not possible. Um, they they give you the ability to create these little shields, and as long as you're in one of these shields, almost all the attacks are completely nullified. And the way that you can make these shields is, one, he'll launch out these little mini versions of himself, and if you can find the single one that is glowing and hit it, it will create a shield. That never happens in my games. I don't know why, but it just, every time he creates those little mini things, none of them are glowing. Okay, fine. The second way is anytime you destroy a wound on one of his legs, it's supposed to drop a thing that you can pick up, and then you can just create your own shield anywhere you want. They never dropped. I had one run where I was doing really, really well, and I'd figured out this combo that just let me do like 24 hits in like, 5 or 6 seconds. Like, it worked really, really well. And I was able to like create 3 or 4 wounds within a minute or two of each other. Not a single one dropped a shield for me. And I wasn't the only person breaking wounds. Like, everyone was breaking wounds. No shields would drop whatsoever. I don't know if I had a bugged version of it or what, but it just pissed me off so much because, again, without those shields, it's literally impossible to do the fight. You cannot get out of these the things. And going with a bunch of randos generally turns into everyone dying, because the way the fight is supposed to work is you're supposed to have one person whose sole job is to keep Omega focused on them by slapping them in the face. You're supposed to have one person whose sole job is to keep everybody alive, and then 2 people whose sole jobs are to just break shit. And in Final Fantasy XIV, that's how every fight goes. You have a tank, a healer, and 2 DPS. That's how it works. In Monster Hunter, that's not how the game plays. It's never been how the game plays. And so getting in with a bunch of randos, no one wants to be the tank, and no one wants to be the healer. Not only that, but really only one weapon can be a quote-unquote dedicated healer, which is the hunting horn, which nobody uses. Technically, anyone can heal because there aren't healing abilities in the game aside from the hunting horn, and even then, it's not like significant healing. The way that you heal other people is you have to have a specific build. You have to take specific skills and then use specific items to actually heal other people. So nobody wants to be the healer, though, because that's not how you play Monster Hunter. And so what ends up happening is you have 4 people that are all trying to damage this thing, none of which can do damage because all of our weapons swing so slow that you can't ever hit the damn thing, because before I finish my attack, the guy is on the other side, or the Omega's on the other side of the arena shooting missiles at me. Yeah, I'm really pissed off about this, because again, I've never been like massively good at Monster Hunter, but I've been good enough to get through the base level of every monster, with a few rare exceptions. I don't think I ever beat Fatalis in Worlds. In World, it's just singular. It's Wilds is plural, World is singular. But I beat absolutely everything in Rise. And it was fun. It wasn't my favorite, but it was still fun. I liked the combat in it. That's the other thing that kind of ticks me off. So, in Monster Hunter Rise, the game itself was very, very different from World. You know how in Monster Hunter in general, everything is about slow, methodical attacks and things like that and waiting for your opening? It's not how Rise worked. Rise added these things called spirit bugs or wire bugs. There we go. Wire bugs. And basically, they allowed you hypermobility. And so anytime you got knocked over, you could immediately activate a wire bug. And what you would do is you would throw this little like bright white bug out. And then it would just stop, and you'd have a string attached to it, a wire attached to it. You'd pull on it, and it would get you out. So every time you got knocked over, you could instantly jump up. And not only would you be up again, but you would also be significantly far away from where you just were. And so what that meant was in Monster Hunter Rise, combat was much, much faster. Again, older versions of Monster Hunter, because they're massive monsters, they were slow and they were lumbering. In Rise, because you were so quick, they had to make the monsters faster. Well, in Wilds, they still use these hyper fast monsters, but we no longer have the hyper mobility of the wire bugs. And so it just turns really frustrating. There's a couple different monsters that I just vehemently despise going up against. Not because, I can't beat them or anything, but because I know I'm going to spend 90% of the fight just dodging and doing absolutely nothing because my chosen weapon is a little bit slower. And the other thing with a lot of the bigger weapons is they have ways to block. The Insect Glaive doesn't. Their only kind of defensive measure is to jump into the air. And for whatever reason, despite the fact that this creature only attacks the ground, if I'm in the air, 10 feet above the creature, every attack it makes still hits me in the air. Because I thought, I was like, oh, well, I can be aerial. There's no reason I should be getting hit by fire moving along the ground. Nope, doesn't work that way. I still get knocked out of the air, and then because I got knocked out of the air, I have to waste extra time falling, and then when I hit the ground, I have to sit there on the ground going, da, 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 da. If you hadn't noticed, I'm kind of upset about this, because I want to like this fight. I want to get all the cool gear and things. I just hate it so much. And the other thing is, like, switching to a new weapon is not simple. Like, I mean, technically switching is very, very easy. You build the new weapon, and getting the materials to build the new weapon, you can use your old weapon to get the materials you need to build a new weapon. Like, that's the whole point of the game. Same is true about armor and stuff like that. But, like I said before, every weapon plays significantly different. And in order to play them well, like, there isn't a tutorial in the game that actually teaches you how to play each weapon. They have tutorials, and what they do is they teach you what each button does. But things like I'm learning the gun lance right now. And the gun lance is exactly what it sounds like. It is a lance with a gun. And the basic idea, and you have a big old shield too. The basic idea of it is you're supposed to attack and fire off the gun lance. And it also has this thing on the inside where it'll shoot a spike into the creature. And then it also has this, like, Kamehameha boom thing that it can do too. However, in order to actually use it effectively, you have to learn all these different combos, which they show you 2 combos in the game. But they don't teach you how to use them. They don't teach you any of the kind of additional mobility things that you have. They will tell you what buttons to press, and they will give you a name for what it does, but they don't actually teach you how to play. Either you have to kind of teach yourself how to play it, which takes a long time and takes a lot of trial and error, or you have to go and watch one of the many, many, many videos that teaches you how to play each one. And that's how I learned how to play every single weapon I've used. That's how I learned how to play dual blades. That's how I learned how to play Insect Glaive. I used to do Charge Blade. Charge Blade is super fun. I think I've tried it once or twice in Wilds, and because of the new wound mechanic, I wasn't able to go very far with it because it makes it play significantly different than the last time I used Charge Blade was in World. But yeah, every single one of them I've had to actually watch a video, which generally takes like the videos are about 30 minutes a piece easily, and you have to watch it multiple times to be able to understand anything, and then you have to watch it while you're playing the game so you can kind of learn alongside, and then it still takes hours to get to the point where you actually understand what you're doing with each weapon. So the fact that I can't do it on the Insect Glaive, one would think, oh, well then just switch to a different weapon. I'd love to, but that means I'm going to have to invest hours into switching to a new weapon because I have to learn basically a brand new game in order to do it. And yeah, so it's frustrating. Does anyone play Monster Hunter? Do I have Monster Hunter fans out here? Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, that's all for me today. As I'm recording this, we have about 15 minutes before the premiere of Campaign 4 Episode 1. So I'm going to go watch that. All right. See you guys next time. All right. Bye bye.